Is bioethics guilty then, or research ethics guilty then, of spending too much time debating the philosophical niceties when it's really the anthropological, sociological reality that ought to be the focus?
That's a very good way of putting it. One of the projects I had in my work in international research ethics and in developing guidelines for international documents was to engage and involve anthropologists. I got some very forceful pushback from people on the international ethics scene, particularly from the people who were philosophers to begin with, and even more specifically from the people who were analytic philosophers. The analytic philosophers has almost as an article of faith that ethical principles can be and ought to be universal. I've heard one go even so far as to say that if you have a valid principle that applies in Boston, it's equally valid in Beijing. And if we ever discover human-like life on Jupiter, it will be valid there. That is not the way I see ethics around the world. And I was quite explicit in a couple of articles that I wrote, is that the guidelines that I was responsible for do not aspire to universality. They aspire to global applicability. What does that mean? That means as far as we understand the world as it exists today, these standards that we set up will be applicable at least everywhere we know about. That means, unlike universal principles, which are valid without regard to time or place, that we will have to revise our ethical documents every few years as circumstances change. My belief is that ethical principles are not universal, that ethical principles, systems of ethics, are created in conversations that take place within particular cultures, and they necessarily reflect the histories and traditions of the cultures in which these conversations take place.